UK Nationals 2023, or as it's sometimes known, EUCR West, the European Ultimate Championship Regionals. And certainly we have a women's division that is hotly contested for those spots. There's a guaranteed 5th game to go, 5th, 6th place now, because LMU, coming into the top 4, have already said they will not be appearing at Wrocław later on this season. They just do not have the time off. But Iceni got their eyes set on the top spot of things. See Hannah Leong there just getting a little bit of liquid energy out of the sachet. But they've been pumped. We saw them yesterday on our live stream against Bristol, who had a couple of losses to their roster. But Iceni have had a real bolstering this season. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Harry Mason here for the women's semi-finals on this side of the bracket. On the other side, who do we have playing, Harry?
Oh, the other final.
Other semi-final.
The other semi-final. Well, I know we've got Spice, and I don't have in front of me the other one.
Bristol.
Bristol. It was Bristol. I was lucky enough to see the end of LMU SIC, which was the game to get into this semi-final. It was a really hard-fought game, pretty much past the buzzer for the next game starting, actually. SIC making it as hard as possible for LMU, so they may be a little bit tired coming into this one. Iceni had a nice rest from winning their pool yesterday, but LMU showed their quality, worked against the tough conditions, and now they're here.
Well, talking to LMU ahead of this game, they said that they hadn't really found their form until game 4 of the tournament. A very similar affair to last season, where of course LMU took the gold medals home. This is the peak of the season for London Masters Ultimate. That's what they sort of set their sights on, is taking the gold here. Last season it was sudden death wins that then saw them into the championship bracket. And when they cruised their way through afterwards, having sort of figured out what worked, whereas this time they've suffered a couple of losses, as you say, going that tough way through this 10-team strong division here at UK Nationals. So a couple of former Iceni athletes dressed all in black with the multicoloured logos. Love to see it. But lots of Iceni players coming back into the fold, and also some players from other clubs coming alongside. It's a real star-studded affair. But plenty of high Frisbee IQ stuff coming out. Iceni, as you already mentioned, Harry, had that late start today. They went and got themselves some brunch, just chilled out. They haven't done anything different in terms of their preparation ahead of this game. No extended warm-ups or extended throwing. They've just done the regular thing.
This is, of course, a repeat game. It was the first game of yesterday. Iceni won 9-4 against LMU. Let's see if Iceni can come out strong here as Hannah Brew goes to pick up the disc.
Well, it's a very different LMU squad. Not in virtue of any roster changes, of course, just in how they've gelled together over the course of this championship tournament. Maddie Long on the far side to Kwon. And we have two Leongs, no relation, out here on the field. There's a zone coming out from LMU, which they're rather famed for at this stage, and it generates a turnover, a miscue from Phi Kwon. Oselek on the far side, finding Weddle. A little bit low for Jenna Thompson. He's wearing the wrong jersey. Karen Kwok has a think about the big one. Finds Weddle underneath. Kate Ford, isolated in the space. Comes through for the around. Finds Kwok. We've got two Kwoks on this LMU line, but both of them are related. They are two sisters. Oselek on the far side. Having recently come back from Italy, coaching the under-20 women's team. Kwok faking. This is a relatively slow and conservative point here for LMU, but it looks to be a first hold. That one might escape. Oh, there's a bid. Commentator's curse, perhaps. Waddell going for it, but not connecting.
There is a little bit of wind here today as well, maybe helping the LMU zone, whereas there wasn't yesterday for their first game. Maybe this will change up the game dynamics.
In fact, that point was quite such a stately offence, Harry, that I forgot who started this game on 0. This would, of course, be a hold for Iceni. That was a break opportunity for LMU. Sorry, putting my brain back in gear after a very exciting, spicy open final the game previous. Kwan. To Brew. Easy hammer over the top. But actually it does escape Freya Lenson. It didn't quite manage to catch up with it, just didn't catch the angle of that overhead from Brew. Weddle trying to grind herself open upfield. Kwok pops back. Oh, that's a lovely break from the left hand. And a big layout to Claire Sharman, who's out of bounds, but an athlete who you can rely upon to make those bids over and over again. Such a rapid athlete.
It's always that difficulty when you're near the edge of, do you try and toe in, do you try and leap to make the catch certain there?
Go for the greatest.
Yeah, always an option as well.
Brew looking for options. Scuba to Long. Lenton pops back. Lenton, of course, one of the Spice athletes who's left that programme to join Iceni. Leong with 0 marks, so all the time in the world to hold on to it. Now collects one in the form of Weddle. Dahlman. Iceni very static upfield. Just throwing over the top to Lenton. Young now. Taylor. Both teams playing very long points, lots of passes. Taylor's going to have to catch up to that one, misses it, and Marsalek behind. I think got there first with that spin move required from Taylor.
This is always very hard in this moment, particularly if you're tracking a disc over you, to know just who got the disc in that situation. You can see someone on the sideline holding their hand up as well.
That did look like a great defensive play from Marsalek, who's giving us the hand signal for a turnover, and so tap back into play. A swing and a miss for Iceni. A nice idea, but Taylor wasn't ready for it. Marsalek opens up a lofty backhand that may well stay out of bounds. No, just coming back in the pack and ripped away by Kwan. Leong. Seeking a reset. Too much double cutting in the near space. Has Hannah Leong on the far sideline. Matched up though with Jenna Thompson. It's going to force one. A high sky biscuit that just sails over the top. Lovely execution from Maddie Leong. On a high stall, high pressures. Call from the sideline of Swill as that disc goes up to Fee Kwan. Taylor has Dahlman coming underneath, but throws directly into the ground. Grindy point. Ford with the double glove. Scoops it forward. Nice footwork from Weddle. Throws up one for Sharman, who tracking it down. Lovely catch, has Marsalek for the quick toss. Goes immediately, going to have to lay that one out for sure. Oh, and it just bobbles off both hands. What a shame.
Yeah, it's a lovely catch out of the air. Both teams not afraid to use that vertical space. We saw that Iceni took on the zone first time, that we might see again here with a scuba, a hammer, and a big wide flick as well. It'll be interesting to see if they can show here. We can get through the zone again. Obviously, the zone turned them the first time. The second time, they got all the way to the end zone, and LMU had transitioned to match defense before the turn.
And the match defense did pay off. That was where the turnover was generated. Some nice spreading work from the back. Haley Dahlman keeping the deep busy, opening up that wing channel. LMU happy to play with no force on the disc, and it forces a turnover, an errant throw from Fee Kwan. Thompson calling for a set play. Has Weddle looking a little bit dangerous, but it's going to need some kind of reset. Squeaks one away for Karen Kwok, who bobbles at it first, but makes a secondary effort on the clap catch. Has Thompson very well poached off, flashes in front, but good cover from Maddie Long. Again, Thompson being given the space underneath. Sharman now around. Stacked very deep. That one's going to have to be redeemed. Marcellek might get underneath it. No. Denied by Phi Kwan. But Iceni leaving their handlers plenty of room to work with, but maybe need to come in a little bit sooner. Brew watching the disc into the hands. Big space available as the deeps work. It isn't too windy. Iceni definitely have the throws to hit those bigger pockets. Instead going for big old lateral moves with the swings. But a transition now to match defense by the looks of things. Although still two deeps at the back. Just bracketing the pack. Now there is a bit more of a conscious call of match defense. Dolman seeks for Taylor, finds her, Young, plenty of room, and the option is taken a little bit late, but just seen enough to stop Marcellek from coming in and denying. So that is at long last a hold for Iceni, but that took 10 turnovers to get there.
Yeah, so just correct myself quickly, one of the hammers was a turnover as well. That was a very hard fought point. In the end, a simple shot to the end zone was the difference, but it was interesting the different space that both teams had. Iceni were being very pressured from the start for that zone, whereas LMU, when they had the disc, I think the handlers had a little bit more space, and it was the upfield that Iceni were really pressuring, whereas I think Iceni were having to work a little bit more for every throw, but on the other hand, they were able to work through it in the end.
Well, certainly that's a tick in the box, though, for LMU. They didn't manage to convert any of their many break opportunities. As a fun fact from the sideline, I've just seen Claire Sharman open up her water bottle and tip it directly over her head. She did some big moves in that point. But if you can keep your opposition's offensive line, their best starting 7, on the pitch for quite that long, that is really great effort. Because, of course, this game started 10 minutes ago.
To build on the water bottle fact, it is also quite cold here.
Well, Mara Alperin, long-time Iceni player. In fact, I think we have a full Iceni handling set. Lily Kwang, Mara Alperin. Body, who came across to Iceni later in her career, was formerly Leeds, but there's a great effort to try and redeem that possession from Alex Nevitt. He recently aged up into Masters. Smith now, and a counter-attack that's very rapid from the D-line of Iceni. Smith underneath that one. But given plenty of time and respect by Alperin, because she knows the height difference for the two Bevised athletes. Nice find for Marsh. Back to Smith, pick up field. That one, oh, what a lovely snatch from Kim Marsh to redeem that possession. Just about holds onto it as well as Hannah Smith, as that one tumbles in her own breadbasket. Oh, but there's a miscue. Barnes looking for the immediate send back, and it just bobbles off the fingertips of Hannah Smith, who asks for a bit of chat from the sideline. Alperin finds Bevan. There's been some Bevan success on this field today already, and that's a lovely layout from Hannah Body. Of course, someone who is always going to be relied upon to do that kind of thing. Oh, and that's a lovely shot through to Gainey. Kat Gainey with the first goal of the game for LMU, and after a little bit of back and forth, that one finishes much faster than the previous one.
Yes, Iceni D-line certainly making sure that LMU have to work for it, but a much nicer hold for LMU than Iceni managed in the first point.
So Iceni's D-line, the counter-attack was very rapid indeed. Just that little bit of an error, miscommunication between Lucy Barnes and new Iceni recruit this season, Hannah Smith, of course, formerly of Bristol. Lots of change-ups in these rosters for the women's division this season. Lots of parity continues from last year.
We also saw a little bit of Iceni's end zone set. We saw very structured formation. They know what they want to work through, whereas I think LMU are going a little bit more organic and flowing, which we'll see if the Iceni defense can adapt to.
Well, to answer the question in the chat, Jason Cancel, it is a upwind, downwind, as this pitch has it. So left to right on our camera view. We go for the wide angles. And it's a rolling pull off the paws of Kate Ford. And Maddie Long will bring it in. And another look out of zone, trying to trap Iceni on this near side. Smith popping through. So rotating in from having played that previous deep possession. Perhaps some of the O-line players a little bit tired. Smith with a nice find, but that's going to be at the floor, unfortunately. A great shot to try and hit Annabelle Plummer, but not to be. And a half-field opportunity for LMU. Marszalek, Kulikowska, sorry. It's the other Ola that's a Marszalek. How could I get that wrong? That's very embarrassing. Cheshki, a little stumble from Ford, closes the window on that initial reset, finds the inside to Polaka. Cheshki underneath, solid single-handed grab. Of course, LMU saying they aren't going to go to EUCF does free up Cheshki to continue playing with BFD shout. It's a high release backhand that Kulikowska narrowly misses. So Smith overshoots. Oh, nearly the Callahan layout from Alice Pollock. Yeah, that would have been quite the sensation. Let's put our emotions back in our box as Jenna Thompson calmly walks to get us in play. Bit of help defense trying to sort out Cheshki. Thompson, being a lefty, is able to find that side with ease. And Anna Cheshki, with Anna treble shirt on, clutches a second goal, and it's a break for LMU.
And you've got to say that's a win for the LMU zone as well. They put it on. The space was actually the big diagonal that Hannah Smith, I believe, was trying to hit. It would have broken up the LMU defense. However, it is a difficult shot. That's why it's left, especially with a little bit of wind. And we see now a timeout taken in response to maybe talk about how to beat that zone or how to deal with this going forward.
Well, with Iceni taking a timeout, we can go to a brief break, but we will be back in a few moments as this semi-final continues. LMU leads 2-1.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, the best in the world.
Become a member and fund our work
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
First half here, women's semi-finals at UK Nationals 2023. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Harry Mason. And Harry, this game has had quite a few turnovers thus far.
It has done indeed. We're saying this is Iceni's first game of the day. LMU coming off the back of a tough game. There's a bit of wind and there's some very good defense as well. We will see now if Iceni can break down the LMU zone.
Well, as we see a big pull from Kate Ford, the rain does start to gently drizzle upon us for Iceni's second offensive point in a row. Chang across to Kwon. Low biscuit through to Taylor. There's a big old poach off on the far sideline. Felicia Chang with that knee brace. Kwon and Barnes smoking it around the back. And a somewhat junky zone from LMU. Just trying to contain things and is doing so relatively well, but Iceni happy to just slowly nibble the distance between them and the goal line. Nice find. Vernosevic. Back around to Barnes. Low pivot's going to put a little bit too much juice in it. Chang does everything she can to try and corkscrew around, but doesn't connect. Thompson has Chesky initially, but chooses to go all the way around to Kwok. Oh, that's a big laser coming out of Joyce Kwok, the younger of the two sisters for this LMU side. I believe in her first season of Masters eligibility. Barnes with the centering pass. In front for Taylor. Nice gainer. Oh, that's a lovely dish, but a lovelier block to deny it. There's going to be a foul called by Kim Marsh. Immediately contested by Karen Kwok. Doesn't look to be too much discussion. They're going to send it back.
It's Karen Kwok trying to take the long way around on the defense, go around the outside, and I just felt it was a little bit too much contact.
Well within her rights to contest it.
Yep.
Marsh not happy with the level of contact. Barnes through to Chang. Pick. Just starting, stalling two. Chang with possession. To Kwon. Has shots available right at the back of the zone. But it's going to be the up line that's taken and overshot again. Kwon trying to connect with it. Andres, there's a little bit of a collision, but no call. Thompson just stopping. Or maybe a call somewhere else on the pitch, perhaps a pick. But Thompson with no mark. Emerging opportunities. Anna Cheshki now. Looking just to play with Thompson. Through to Ford. Has Kwok taking off towards the deep space. Can she read that one well enough? It's going to require a layout bid, but it's a little bridge too far, and it's not quite the right read. Trying to best Ellie Taylor, who's an athlete you're going to have to be on the right side of because she is springy.
It's the combination of how much do you put your body in front of the defense towards making the catch easy, and I think the wind's taking a little bit more than expected. It's a little bit gusty as well. So
there was, I don't know, to be fair, I think both the players have a lot of speed on them, and I think it was just a case of trying to figure out whether this wasn't just not quite reading it well. They definitely had a decent amount of juice on that big biscuit, but certainly a catchable opportunity was there. Just to be found. Barnes looking for what she wants, and it's an upline through from Kwan. Iceni trying to connect in the middle pocket, but it's a good snaffle on the far side. Rowland keeping it alive. Now Kwan trying to shoot for Taylor. There is the layout there, but it's too low.
No, Taylor with a lot of space there. Potentially could have sat a disc up a bit more, but I think Rowland there, the fantastic player, I want to highlight, saving that disc when it was right on the ground. LMU now with an offensive chance. Kwok with the grab. Puts it long. Disc is chased down.
Well, you've got to go for the layouts just for show, just in case, because sometimes you can surprise even yourself. And whether an athlete not shy of making those bids, but that one isn't going to save possession for Phi Kwan. Thompson to pick up, and we're likely to get another set play out of LMU. Isolation for Cheska. Immediately sets off, and there is the high release backhand from the left hand of Jenna Thompson. An easy goal for LMU, and that will be another break. 3 on the bounce to take it to 3-1.
I mean, that's the start LMU wanted. Their zone does appear to be at least stifling Iceni somewhat, although Iceni did have some nice flow through the middle of it at that point. But the aim is to try to tire Iceni out, make them work hard for every point, make them feel like LMU are going to be on their tail every time. And LMU, as a counter, in a lot of space for what was a nice score at the end.
Well, a timeout being called and no surprises there. Iceni need to do a little bit of thinking, having conceded 2 breaks in a row. We will find out if they can bring it back after these short messages.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch,
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe. Ulti.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and fund our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Longest how long? back in play here. First half, early doors for LMU versus Iceni. This, of course, the women's semi-final. Iceni yet to have a defeat so far in the tournament. They had an early game yesterday, but this morning they had the morning off. And at the moment, it's an LMU not looking at all tired, just looking well tested thus far, after SIC nearly had the comeback to make it through to semis. Of course, Iceni have done already enough to see themselves through to EUCF later on in this season, but can they get themselves towards a UK gold? Smith over the top, but it's going to be taken away by Andres. Andres, of course, one of the captains of the Spanish women's team this season at EUC. So you get a casual lefty toss out of Jenna Thompson, the Kulikovska. Kulikovska had two options available. Miscommunication. I think Andres thought that Cheshki was going to come in and get it. So Leong instead will pick up. Finds Dahlman. This, of course, just the offense for Iceni. Lenton fakes the hammer over the top. A very close mark from Andres. Then Young. Smith just trotting away. Has the reset, but that just falls out of the hands of Freya Lenton. Thompson has Polakyan in front. Now to Chesky. Not too much action towards the deep part of the field for LMU. Looking to grind the unders. Andres on the far side. Lovely lace one through, but it's going to have a little bit too much zest on it to connect with Hannah Body. Both teams overcooking some of these, and that one is nearly snatched away by Claire Sharman. What a great bid. Lenton now. I'm going to pick. So the disc going back to Freya Lenton. Bit of a lengthy discussion as the players try and recalibrate to their previous positions. Smith trying to go for the button hook, might be available to Leong. Oh, didn't like the look of that option right at the back of the field. Does have the reset available. Thompson trying to poach cleverly, but that is a lovely find. Chessa Yarlink into Hannah Brew in the end zone after quite another lengthy point for the O-line of Iceni, but they punched that one in. 2 turnovers apiece.
Yeah, I really like that specific end zone offense they did. The previous ones, they'd looked a little bit panicked. They kept trying to have lots of cuts to the same area, maybe turned to look at the handle a little bit late and had to put out quite a difficult one. This time they actually used the break throw a little bit earlier, and it just opened up so much more space for a simple throw, rather than to the outstretched arms of one player that's sprinting at full pace. Someone who's managed to find a little bit of an area for a simpler goal, which is, I think, exactly what Iceni needed at this point.
Well, they took the timeout so they could try and put something together to keep themselves in with a decent chance of coming out on top of this first half. 3-2 now the score. A very different feeling from 4-1. Well, solid work from the D-line of LMU. Again, kept Iceni out in the field for quite a long time.
Some very good defense. We saw Sharman bidding through and almost getting the turn as well, but Smith managing to just about keep it. On the other hand, if LMU keep doing that, they keep saying you're going to have to work for every disc, it's going to keep Iceni trying to seek out those shots at the very edge of what their cutters can run to.
And certainly with the changing wind conditions, the morning was very still indeed out here on show pitch number 1. And we're seeing a lot of throwing execution errors. So for LMU, perhaps the difference at this pitch. But for Iceni, maybe just not quite warmed up on all of the throws, but that is warm and cooking up something beautiful to Gabby Pearl. And what a quick counter-attack that was after the throw that missed Catherine Gainey.
So I think a bit of a miscommunication from LMU, but Iceni making the best of the chance that was given to them. And again, a much simpler shot to the end zone this time. Lovely score, just quick awareness as well. We saw a lot of quick starts in one of their previous games. Act a little bit more like the confident, dominant Iceni that they will want to be. LMU, on the other hand, still very much in control in this game and showing their class.
I think that was a bit of a miscue on the defense for LMU there as well. It did look like a break side channel that was wide open. A really easy one through to Gabby Pearl, who's been very consistent so far this tournament. But a quick break for Iceni. We are back with a more even performance. As the weather continues to be a classic British summer, Harry.
Gotta love it.
Do you? So all 3 apiece. And our first brick pull of the game. So we're back to the old Iceni handler set. Alfred and Huang at the back. Other long-term players. Body looking for the isolation play. Little stutter step, but coming through from behind. Sophie Bevan. Long-time Leeds player, but that's going to be taken away. With a great block underneath and going immediately off to the bank to try and collect the goal as well, but no double happiness. A big old cluster of bodies underneath the disc. And Bevan unable to connect. Short field for Brew. Oh. Didn't like that very easy choice. I think the off-hander was a little bit too close for comfort. So Hannah Leong now. Finds Maddie Long. Just lateral movements. Pope now opens up the arm, and there is a block coming through from Alex Nevitt to deny the captain an assist.
Iceni trying to use the space a little bit more there, work it around the end zone, but the shot was from quite a bit of a way out, so 10 metres, certainly enough time for the LMU defence to be switched on and run across to get the D.
So LMU once again trying to stretch themselves down pitch. Body on a high stall, resets to Huang. Gets it back. Heyman out, opens up the lefty flick, but that is going to just get yards, but no connection.
The previous couple of points, Iceni have tried to quick start on the turn. Here they're taking their time a bit more, setting up the structure for a more controlled offense.
Young. Looking for the upline from Pope. A little bit of gentleness takes what she's given. It's that initial backwards pass. But Alperin doing a great job on mark of really threatening that round backhand. It's a high catch required. And Brew launches a laser flick that just about is held onto. I'm not sure Hayley Dahlman knew she was in, but her teammates let her know, and look at the little face on that.
I don't know if there's any words more connected than Hannah Brew and laser. Known for having an incredible arm LMU's switch defense was working really well. It was making Iceni have to work very hard. But when you've got a shot like that, sometimes you've got to take it. On the other hand, you do have to wonder if Hannibal saw the shots to the end zone earlier in the point on the offense before. It felt like there was a simple flick to the end zone that maybe she just didn't see.
So a timeout being taken on the pitch is going to give us a brief moment of repose here in the booth, but don't go anywhere, folks. Iceni are well back in this, leading this game 3-4.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch,
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe. LTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Sidelines quite quiet here in the semi-finals at UK Nationals. Iceni have just gone on a run of 3 points in response to LMU's run of 3, and we are back on serve. 4-3 to the London-based team. But which one?
The one in white.
So this the London side of the bracket. LMU, of course, booted out 6 this morning in a very hotly contested game. So this to decide who's the best London team in the women's division and who will advance through to the gold medal match later on this afternoon. Gainey, high toss to Bevan. High stall. Alperin just grinding up line. There's a slide through, but doesn't quite make the connection. Kwan to pick up. The yell from the sideline of structure. Perhaps things looking a little sloshy at times for this Iceni squad, who like to play things very well drilled. An attempt at a big gainer on the far sideline, but doesn't quite work out. Bevan available and taken by Alperin. Lovely gainers. Now it's Marcelic, who boosts it a little bit too much, but Juan comes through. Oh, it's a soft offhand backhand to find Sophie Bevan laying out for the goal, and that is a good response to that run of 3 from Iceni.
Some very useful experience there for LMU, just to see how the disc is going to fly in the air. It's one of those things that once you've played a lot of Ultimate, you're more adapted to how the wind might go in a little bit of an odd direction. Nice grab, and then the composure to take a calm shot to the end zone, to not rush it as well. That sees LMU bring it back to level.
Well, there was a little bit of haste on that offhand backhand. Certainly a little bit of wobble on it, but an easy catch for Bevan in the end, because at this level, and certainly after Bevan's playing career, of course, so many caps for the GB women's programs. Seniors are now in the Masters division. Of course, one of the captains of the women's Masters squad this side, alongside Jenna Thompson, who's on the pitch. Just taking that 7th spot in the row for the D-line. But yeah, it was perhaps not the nicest throw, but it will do well enough for LMU.
I mean, it looked very composed considering the fact you could describe it with a little bit of haste on that offhand backhand.
Well, that's what happens when you have this much game experience, and certainly the wind conditions in the previous game were very changeable. It started off a very still breeze, but look at the roll on that pole.
It's ducking and diving.
I'll tell you what, well, that is wisdom for you. Well, Iceni happy to go back into their own end zone. Polycarp at the front, the point of the zone, causing Brew to have to get on her knees. You can see those overheads that Brew throws really corkscrew and change direction, which is advantageous for those lateral swings. But obviously for Lenton earlier on in this game, it was what saw them come unglued for one of the first turnovers. High one from Brew, finding Dahlman in the soft pocket. No jailbreak though. Good recovery from the zone. Oh, good recovery as well from Maddie Leong. Just getting a pause around that one. That one a more flat workman-like overhead. Pops through to Lenton. Oh, and that's a lovely bit of curvature, but it's running out of room. And a bit of a bosh afterwards from Kwok on Hill. So, an apology, tap on the back there.
Some little stats for you. Sort of 8 passes Iceni had to take in their own end zone there due to the LMU zone. Also 2 hammers. Want to add that stat in as well.
Yeah, considering some of the high pass tallies though, the average passes per turn counts for all of the 4 lines we're seeing, offense and defense for both sides, not particularly high. Oh, that's a lovely little inside shot, but unfortunate drop there from Kulikoshka. Gives a short field opportunity for Iceni. Leon. Trying to go for the around, that bops off. Can it be collected? It is, but by the defender. Looks to be Sharman. And the rest of LMU take a little while to catch up, but the reset is found to Thompson. There's Chesky working on that break side. Nice fake out. Oh, and that is a ripper of a backhand. Just about misses the back defender, but I think there was a little piece on it that prevented it from reaching Sharman.
Yeah, there was a lot of space in that deep area. Had the Huck managed to go that little bit further. With that said, very well switched on by Iceni. 2 or 3 players there wanting to get in the way and make that catch a bit more difficult.
Do you think there was a touch from that last defender?
100%, yeah.
Well, the hands of Annabelle Plummer perhaps pushing the disc that little bit extra further. But a full stretch required now for Iceni. Smith to Leong. Nice touch on that one. But that one, a little toss pass from Dahlman is denied by the swiping hand of just a run through the jaws of the zone. Ford and Thompson anchoring at the back clock now. I see LMU very happy to rotate through lines, but that requires a lot of effort from Jenna Thompson, and that was never going to be landing in bounds, but we love to see the layout bid form. So well over half of the game has expired, and we are still at 4 apiece. Brew looking for an inside shot. Oh, that is a lovely find on the far sideline, but I don't think that it was expectations for Plummer that it was going to reach that deep. Perhaps expected Hills to make the clutch grab. Thompson popping to Kwok. Polycarp. Nice inside high release to Cheshki. Little fire over to Sharman. And the layout is there for Kulikovska, but unfortunately the catch is not quite there. Smith now to pick up. Lenton to Dolman. Not seeing any team take a timeout in play. Of course, we have had a fair few, so they might not be available, but that is a gorgeous shot, a blade over the pack, finding Plummer. Back to Leong. Plummer going for a cheeky button hook. A bit of double teaming there for Jenna Thompson, but all fine because the high release is available, and what a lovely shot it is.
I mean, to the skilled thrower, if two people are marking you, that means there's someone free upfield. What a lovely backhand that was. But the throw before, that big cross-pitch flick, is one we've seen Iceni use a few times. We know they have it, and it's very powerful. The wind is strong enough that it's looking a bit more risky in this scenario, but if it comes off like that, it can tear a defense open.
Well, Iceni 5-4 up over LMU. But there is not the longest amount of game left. We're just over half an hour of this 1 hour, 20-minute game slot. So this game has not been particularly pacey.
No, and of course there's still another game to go for these teams. It's the semi-final, and they are fighting for a spot at the final for the Nationals title. Both Iceni and LMU with titles in the past. LMU the current reigning champions as well.
So Fee Kwam with a pull. It looks to be just about staying in bounds. Be fielded. And then quickly moved across the side. Hamer opens up that lefty flick again. I think that's such a close miss. Hannah Body with excellent space in the end zone. Really nice set there. It's nice to see Alex Meisner as well on the pitch as well. That took that centering pass and dished it over to the far sideline. But Hamer, one of the newer of the LMU players, not her first season playing alongside this team. Of course, formerly preferred the mixed division. One of the original deep space players, if my memory serves. But oh my goodness, what a fantastic adjustment that was. The speed of the change. Kim Marsh never fails to impress, but unfortunately, conservation of greatness. She seems to throw into a pack of white shirts, but it's the hands of Mara Alperin clutch that disc. Bevan now sails it, soars it across, and there's the drop, unfortunately. Joe Hamer had plenty of time, but just while having to make the bid, pops out of the two waiting palms. Solid break up line, finding Marsh. Kwam looking for that around, finds it in the form of Pearl. Well, this is more like it. Scoop up from the knees. Roland saying it's up. So an injury call. So Roland making that hero save, but also having to come off. I think she might have caught her fingers on it.
It's never a nice thing to do. It always feels so rough because it's just my fingers hurt a little bit, but it's kind of important in Ultimate.
Well, not a bad replacement in the form of Ellie Taylor. Of course, another player formerly in the mixed division, went to Worlds back in 2018 with Black Eagles before moving down south. And off she goes. Look at the speed on those legs. Ellie Taylor absolutely rinsing up the line and collecting another break. 6-4 now, Iceni lead with 20-some minutes to hold on to it.
I did quite like, you heard sort of the echo of injury from the sideline, and then I don't know if there was a discussion or a captain made the call, but very quickly Ellie's name came up. So I don't know if the team just knows that it's Ellie's job to come on in that situation, or if there was someone, a leadership team, who made the call and everyone echoed it, but definitely showed why she's someone Iceni rely on in that scenario.
Well,
with that said, let's give props to Roland for that grab again, and also this close set LMU sideline to us was sort of signalling down. Someone on the LMU sideline on the other side signalled up. Very great spirit there. I just want to highlight that.
well, great spirit of the player with a better perspective, probably because that was quite a close catch in terms of that fast sideline. But things getting a little bit pacier. The offense is flowing a bit more smoothly for both sides, and it's nice to see sort of just the level in this game starting to rise up as well. We have seen some consistently good defense, and obviously any zone will drag points a little bit further, but I think it's fair to say, Harry, the amount of turnovers at the beginning of this game is not representative of the skill level of all the athletes on the pitch.
I think it's fair to say that both of these teams want to find that next level, particularly before that final game. And they are starting to bring it with some fantastic grabs. Kim Marsh as well in the middle of that point.
Oh, absolutely. That redemption she made on pass that was, she had no rights catching. We love to see it. Kwok has Sharman on the far sideline, but good adjustment from the mark of Ellis. Kulikoshka has a bit of double cutting. Kwok upfield. The other Kwok on this pitch, Joyce, is being given a very soft mark on the far sideline. And underneath she comes. It's very free, but Thompson only has eyes for Waddell. Back through to Kwok. Kulikoshka trying hard but not able to find the grind. Oh, but Jenna Thompson like a torch in that back corner of the end zone, just clutching high, and that will put us 5 on the board for LMU, but Iceni still lead with 6.
Such a well-placed disc from Karen Kwok as well. The Iceni player was there to make it difficult. There is a fair bit of wind as well, just placed over the top such that the Iceni player has to run on and compete on Jenna Thompson's territory.
So it's an interesting one. In contrast to many of the EUF events this season, Harry, we haven't had any timed halves here at UK Nationals. So a real big advantage for the team that wins the toss with these ones dragging on. But of course, yesterday, all of the games were played to 50 minutes. So not really much time or opportunity for a team that's gone down in the first stages to make a comeback. So certainly the format here at UK Nationals this season has favoured those who can start a game very well. But this game, it was all about that LMU run of 3 points.
Yes, the previous game between these two again was 9-4 to Iceni. So in the 50 minutes, that's where they got to. LMU already above their total from last game and making this a really exciting one. They're going to be wanting to come out hard on defense now, though.
Well, big arcing pull from Kate Ford that's going to roll all the way into the knees of Lucy Barnes. But just a miss on the first throw from Phi Kwan. So a short field opportunity. This to level it back up for 6 apiece. Not quite give LMU the advantage, but a lovely inside shot from Andres. It's a difficult throw to reset directly into the wind. Weddle jumps on it, oh, and throws a cheeky around into the path of Jenna Thompson. So that's 2 goals back to back for the number 11.
It was a
Just a little chat there as to whether it was in bounds, but looked pretty good to me.
It was a fierce force there from Kwan as well. Joyce Kwok had to take a couple of big fake attempts to be like, can I get around this? And eventually found Weddle, and then the nicer, easier shot to the end zone.
So LMU posting another break on the board. Iceni won the toss, therefore have the natural advantage here. We are on serve once again. So edging towards half here with about 20 minutes left on the game clock, plus a little bit extra change. But the other thing, to be fair, I think it's used up some of the clock, Harry, is the fact that there have been rather long pauses between points. Lots of chatting, lots of readjusting, because we don't have any scorekeepers on the sidelines with their whistles to signal the time between points.
No, and it is worth saying that if you are listening, you would love to be here in person watching and want to volunteer for that sort of role, then we'd love to have you in future. I know UKU are always looking for more people to help make these tournaments the best they can be. With that said, we see another LMU zone.
Well, one has to think as maybe the scoreline starts to get higher. If it stays this tight, we might see things speed up in between points as both teams will look to get things on the board. Brute has some nice options available the far side, but again that one doesn't quite work out to Lenton. That's the second misconnection with the same throw for those two players in this game. It's just that last little bit of curvature from those hammers from Brew that corkscrews the other way and just escapes the reach of Lenton. But there's a big old backhand break. Oh my goodness, Jenna Thompson eating up the stats board. I mean, is anybody even remotely surprised? That's 5 now of the 7 goals for LMU she's been involved with. Really just taking charge of this match.
It just felt like she might have fumbled it a little bit, then caught it tightly under her elbow. Business-like, saying, no, LMU, we've got this game. They want to try and take it. It is 7-6 to LMU, and you know they were ahead 3-1 at one point. Iceni came back. LMU now in the lead again.
Well, no surprise to see this one change momentum again. It's been a real battle. I mean, the first point of this game, 5 turnovers each, and eventually Iceni scoring with a 14 pass possession. So really being pushed and challenged. There's been some excellent defense from both sides, but right now the momentum in the hands of LMU and the disc in the hands of Kate Ford, readying for the pull. So this to stay within 1 for Iceni. Smith. To Kwam. Taylor on the far side. Has Rowland sat just behind the wing that pinches him. Now available. Solid jailbreak through the zone from Iceni, and the call from the sideline to melt to match. As we see Taylor not quite liking the look from Pearl. Oh, that one's beautiful though, surely. Yes, it's taken into the bread basket, goes the throw. Gabby Pearl delivering the option in the end zone.
Very nice smooth offense by Iceni there, working the way through. It's a little note, nice to see Rowland back on the pitch, recovering from that injury, but the whole team for Iceni, they're working to have simple shots through, working up the field, taking quite a few passes, 15 in total to do so, but giving a open shot to the end zone, I would say. And we have 7-all. This point takes half.
And what do we call that, Harry?
Oh, it's, oh, I do know this. Galaxy points, I believe, is the name that we like to use.
So a score update for you from the other women's semi-final, where Spice are battling it out against Bristol. That is also 7 apiece, Harry.
Oh.
So clearly, having a game off for the morning doesn't pay off here at UK Nationals this season.
I mean, maybe not on pitch, but I do love my sleep.
So a big arcing pull will be fielded. Nichols coming on. Plenty of reps with Alperin. Another of these all-star Iceni handlers of old. Not calling them old, just saying that they have had storied playing careers with each other. Of course, there's many seasons in a row, but it's Yarlink that says yes to getting that defensive block. Finds it underneath. Taylor looking dangerous in the sense that just readying herself to explode to one side. It's going to be from the back though, Marsh. But that is way overcooked, and it's a huge layout for Marsh. Everyone stood statuesque still. Lucy Barnes is very sure that that was good, but no one else celebrating how good that catch was.
I don't really see anyone signaling an out call either, just a few people being like, I think we need to discuss this because it was so close.
Well, we caught it on our replay. It's not the best angle just because the head of Anja Weist is right directly in there. And with this one continuing, 15 minutes or thereabouts to go. Update from the other women's semi-final. Spice have taken half 8-7 to get their 2-minute break for half. And this universe point may well have just been taken. No, it's going to come back. Contested out of bounds call. But that was a spicy throw if ever there was. But this time it's just a rudimentary around backhand break from Fee Kwan. Around the mark of Nichols, and that is another one for Iceni to put in the tally, and they take half 8-7.
There's a lot of tough mentality on display here in a game like this where the defense is clicking but there is a high wind, it's been a long weekend. Whether you can still grind in those points, get in those scores, maybe a call doesn't go your way, you've still got to score the second time, and Iceni showing they can do just that right there.
Well, we will get a 2-minute break for halftime here. Do not go anywhere, folks. This game will continue. It's been topsy-turvy action so far. Who will come out the better and advance to finals? Find out in a minute.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch,
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Half time here.
Half-time here at UKU Nationals, the semi-final of the women's division, Iceni versus LMU, the quote-unquote London semi-final. It has been a fascinating first half here. The first meeting between these two teams occurred at the start of Saturday. At this tournament, it was 9-4 to Iceni. Now it's 8-7 to Iceni, and they started with the disc as well. So essentially on serve, we've had some rolls of points for both teams. Very much could go either way here. There is a little bit of a wind making some of the shots a bit more difficult. We've seen a very good LMU zone cause Iceni a lot of problems, but we've seen some big Iceni shots break through the wind as well.
On reflection, Harry, there haven't been that many deep balls in this game. There have been some arcing passes, some bladey affairs, but not really that many full stretch big hucks that have connected. They've had some attempts, but generally speaking, it's been more about the curvature and the shapeliness of the throws rather than just the sheer boost of them.
I think that's a fair point. We know these teams will have it in still conditions, but the shape they've managed to have on some of the throws has been very impressive. I see in particular, I remember one diagonal flick to the back of the end zone that really opened up the field. LMU, a few ones that if they'd got a little bit more distance on it, potentially could have been an easy goal as well.
Though there's been a really interesting connection. This is Freya Lenton, the number 89 for Iceni's first appearance on the Iceni roster this season. And there have been a couple of moments where, especially on the hammers over the top from Hannah Brew, that last bit of curvature, the way it sort of corkscrews back on itself, has been really catching her out when they're going for some of those big, ambitious lateral swings against the LMU zone.
And this thing, knowing Hannah Brew, you know she throws those in trainings as well, but maybe not with the wind that is happening here. It does make it a lot more difficult to read. You know, it does take someone like Hannah Brew who's able to throw a full cross-pitch hammer that hangs in the air. There's been a fair bit of space for Lenton each time as well, so it's not really been defensive pressure. It is just, de facto by the nature of it, a bit of a difficult disc to read.
So something perhaps for them to practice more ahead of EUCF, because Iceni are guaranteed at this stage to go to Euros. They can go home this evening and book their flights. Hopefully not before we've booked our flights.
Yes, flights about to get a lot more expensive, I believe.
And they're already quite pricey for those flying out on Thursday. because of course there are so many UK teams that are already heading to Wrocław for EUCF. Of course, those wildcards being handed out at the invite events at the early season. So Reading, Lemmings, teams such as these.
UK and Irish teams as well. Don't forget.
Gravity, yes, Gravity here in the women's division.
And
but they don't jack up our flight prices here for the British folks that live on English soil, certainly.
that's a very fair point, yes. And, maybe Ranelagh as well, pushing for a spot in the Open division. We'll have to see, as we are about to now get underway for the second half here. Here we see Iceni started the game on offense, and so after half it will be LMU who will be receiving the disc.
And once again, there are 2-minute halves. So it's supposed to have just been 2 minutes of pause between the last point and this one, but we've been running the clock for quite some time. So we've even our ad break, which was several minutes long, ended up with just 7 minutes left on the clock. 8. So Bevan underneath, running out of time to put themselves back in front. Kwan trying to best Sharman. Meisner now. Sophie Bevan just hovering around the disc with her arms wide open, saying, yep, pick me. Wang now. Into Gainey. Oh, that's such a nice bit of movement in the end zone. The experience on Sophie Bevan sees that Dahlman's committed the hips and just turns the other way for an easy clap catch with the pop from Kat Gainey.
I think we've seen that shot before from LMU as well. They want to isolate that one-on-one play because they know how to read their opponent, they know how to get separation, and they also know, if they've got the disc, how to throw something easy to catch to either side. That's going to make it a lot harder if you find yourself as a defense trying to deal with it.
So that will level us back up 8 apiece. And we are all on serve. There is just a hair's width between these two teams, each of them with 4 breaks.
You wonder what both teams talk about at half. LMU coming out with a clean hold, so clearly whatever they talk about on offense is working.
Well, there have been more opportunities for Iceni in terms of just the turnover count. Their D-line has managed to have 9 opportunities in 8 points. So, Iceni now, Brew gesturing around, takes the direct backwards reset to Pope. Lenton, going back and forth. Nice faking from Brew to make Sharman pop up. But not a very spread field. Young is available in that central pocket, but the handlers are focusing largely on each other. Ellis on the far side slinks one through to Lenton, but there's a layout that doesn't get the disc. Great effort from Lenton, but a squandered opportunity perhaps. Kulikovska makes the adjustment, throws a lead that goes to nobody. Brunel launches a rocket into the end zone. Oh, and there's a complete drop. That is such a shame. Tessa Jarling had perfect spacing. You can see she looks up at the sky in frustration. Gets a little hand slap from Thompson. Bit of conciliatory action.
We mentioned at half that not that many long shots taken. Of course, one of the ones that had worked in the first half was a laser from Brew, and again showing that she can hit hands in the end zone when she wants to.
Chesky bobbles it on. Oh, and Claire Sharman layout redeems it. A little bit of friendly fire between Cheshki and Sharman. Of course, Sharman originally hailing from America, but throws a pop that just gets pushed down by that extra little bit of gust. Not enough spin on it to hang in the air for Karen Kwok, and Pope with a short field. Finds Leong. Ellis streaking across the back of the end zone. It's going to be the target taken, and the arms go up. Clutching the goal, Charlie Ellis puts the one on the board for Iceni. They maintain their lead, but just a nose in front here, with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the game clock. So perhaps time will be applied in this next point, putting us in an immediate universe point situation, Harry.
Oh, don't tempt us with something like that.
Well, this game is starting to get a bit more spicy. Of course, we've been trading leads. 3-1 for LMU, then took it back, put us at fours. 6-4 to Iceni. And LMU brought it back and put themselves in front by 1. It's been a real swingy game. And lots of swinging laterally across the field with all this zone being played by LMU.
Yes, it was very interesting when that LMU zone came out and Brew was on the disc again. I wonder if they talked at half about that hammer shot, instead taking 2 passes, a slight backwards pass to a handler and then another pass and then a swing forwards. That it's actually managed to do the same thing as the hammer, but in an extra step. You know, it's not necessarily nice to have to take an extra step. It's a win, that is a risk, but did seem to be a bit more of an effective way through for them. And they did have a nice shot through the middle as well that went a bit too far.
Well, a slow trot to the disc for Alperin. Kwan is already there, ready to apply pressure. Nice flat backhand for body. But that's going to be taken away. Gabby Pearl streaking through with the pink ponytail flying behind. Off she goes towards the end zone. Oh, and just a fluster through. The flutter of the arms from Meisner puts off the target upfield. Bit of a strange release there from Alperin. Had Bevan in plenty of acreage. Centering pass initially. And there we have the time cap. So it is as we suspected, being applied during this point. Means either a game to 10 sudden death, or if Iceni can get another break here, a game to 11 with LMU needing to grind it back. Zone applying pressure. Oh, what a save from Kwan. This flat front set for LMU causing some issues. Now Barnes just trying to post behind it. Has to go more lateral. Cheeky one over the top high. A nice idea from Lucy Barnes that pays off, but not full dividends. So you see a transition to match coverage from LMU. Onosevic near sideline. Up the break side to Roland. Pearl looking very dangerous on that far sideline. You could go for that with one of those diagonal flicks as we've been enjoying. Bit of slow movement, just grinding forward, nearly there for Chang. This to put Iceni well out in front. Foul call. Accepted. Felicia Chang looking for options. Might have to be something just bladey over the top. Great shutdown defense from Meisner, and it is indeed a blade over the top that goes to the turf. And some stall out called. So Doesn't change really much of the field position for LMU, just a little bit of extra pat on the back perhaps. The stall out is of course the dream scenario for any defensive unit. That means your opposition had literally nothing for a full 10-second stretch. So great shutdown coverage from LMU, causing the hesitation from Iceni. Alperin, inside lead for Body. Bevan setting off to the deep space. That might be a little bit undercooked. It is. Roland there, unable to deny. Roland also now really available in the deep space. Iceni can't quite connect their handlers together to make the most of it with momentum. There's double cutting now. Pearl and Roland's running towards the end zone, but it's going to be Anja Vos that puts off. Doesn't manage to get the snatch of the disc, but swats away the air and spooks the two potential receivers. Hamer has the around for Nichols, but that has got too much juice on it and fails at centre field. Kwan. All the way around, there's a collision upfield.
Just a small note here to say that LMU, when they get that turn, have really not been wanting to play in their own part of the field. They've been wanting to get those big gainers. Iceni, on the other hand, being forced to take a little bit more time to work up the field, but I think they have had the better of the opportunities at this point.
Well, they certainly have some athletes that have been grinding into the deep space repeatedly and have been generating great separation too. It's just the pressure that LMU are applying around the handler set. It's denying them the ability to look upfield at the same time as when the cuts are on. So being very smart about changing the defense and applying pressure depending on who has possession of the disc. Chang up line. Big old poach off, but Kwan throws into the floor and you can hear the yell of frustration. This missed opportunity trying to connect with Megan Brous. Alperin with a cheeky lead over the shoulder of Ivanosevic. Meissner makes the bid. Didn't quite manage to kick off from the tips of her feet with enough explosivity to connect, but that was a nice idea. Barnes indicating with a fake exactly what she wanted to throw. Nice lateral move. Pearl now coming back underneath. Good switch off and a solid possession save. To say Pearl on Body is definitely a fabulous matchup for sure. Barnes with zero mark. Plenty of athletes in the end zone, and it's Rowlands with the clap catch high. Someone lost their matchup, and it was Lucy Barnes. However, there is a out of bounds call discussion happening on the far side of the field. I'm not surprised to see that one. However, score update for you on the other semi-final. The parity in the women's division this season, it's 9 apiece on Universe. Is this one going to go the same way? No, that is called good. After discussion, that is indeed Lucy Barnes inbounds throwing the assist. And Iceni 10-8. LMU with a job to do here, Harry.
Yes, it's game to 11, so Iceni just need 1 point. LMU are going to need 3. On the other hand, they've done that twice this game already. So we know LMU can pull something out. They're certainly going to be wanting to put on a bit of a power line here to ensure that at least the start of those 3 points goes their way. Maybe they want to have a little bit of discussion about taking a different approach. On the other hand, they were getting the turns and got quite a few of them as well. And there was some good Iceni defense, but I have to say I feel like, for me, it was a bit more in the hands of LMU's throwers. With that said, Iceni were on the end zone quite a few times, not quite able to find in some excellent LMU defense. There is a bit of wins. They were really trying to make those short passes difficult, make it so Iceni had to go over the top if they wanted something, and eventually Lucy Barnes found the way.
Well, Lucy Barnes is an athlete who has been at the top of the standings in mixed divisions as well as women's throughout her career. So if anyone can find a way, she's one of them to do it. But I don't think we're going to see Jenna Thompson leaving the field now for LMU as they try and charge their way forward. This, of course, the much needed O-hole before the 2 breaks for defence. Gainey underneath. Lovely lead from Mara Alperin, just a little hip slide. Fires it through to Karen Kwok. There's a solid amount of poaching in the backfield that can be exploited with some good movement, but everything a little bit static from the fit. That one's going to sail over the top. Oh, and just coming through, Hannah Smith with the defensive layout block. Now this would be quite the confidence builder for Iceni if they are going into the final, to take it now and here, have a clean defensive break. Ellis seeking an option, resets to Smith. It's low, but all fine enough for Freya Lenton. Leon opens up. Oh, that's a dime of a flick. Ellis underneath it, and that's Iceni through to the final. LMU defeated. They will not be taking back-to-back championships this year. Iceni advance and face the winner of the Universe Point finish in the other women's semi-final.
I could see Hannah Smith go to the floor there after that point, the person who got the D to make that score possible, and then was swamped by some of her teammates recognising her contribution. Both these two teams got a lot of support for each other. You need to get to this level, and we're in for an exciting final.
We really are, Harry. Well, it was all about these long drawn-out points in this game. 11-8, a relatively low scoreline for a 1 hour and 20-minute game. But it definitely started to pace up. You could see the teams really getting themselves on the line much more quickly in the second half, as certainly the pace of the game and the play as well did start to speed through as well. But that will wrap us up here for semi-finals in the women's division. We will be bringing you the mixed final next, one that none of the pundits expected. It is Deep Space versus Lemmings. The second places from the Northern and Southern regionals will be facing it off to see who this season will take home the gold. Stats from this game, though. Break chances for Iceni, 21. Not a great conversion rate of only the 4. Might be a bit skew if actually on our graphics there, but either way, it's been a pleasure to compare you through this game. For myself, Hannah Pendlebury, for Harry Mason, for all of our hard-working ULTI.TV crew and the laptop powering all of this stream. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you for the mixed final very soon.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.